Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our final session of today's Training Industry Learning Tech Showcase, AI in Training, sponsored by Biz Library, Box of Crayons, Is Easy, Sweet Rush, and Sear Tech Solutions. So again, I'm Liz Spate, your events marketing specialist here today, and I'm thrilled to have you with us here. And again, before we get started, I would love to go over a few housekeeping items to help you interact with our speaker and get the most out of today's program. So feel free to continue using the chat for all of your comments, reactions, and questions. Our lovely speakers are going to monitor the chat throughout, so drop those questions throughout as we address those during this demo. And once the session ends, a brief survey will appear in your browser. Please take a moment to share your feedback on the session, the speakers, and all of that good stuff. And all of our sessions are being recorded and archived on trainingindustry.com, and you will receive a follow-up email with us with a link to the on-demand program for you to share with your team. And now, if this is your first event with us, we would love to welcome you. We exist to make connections among learning and development professionals, and we offer tons of resources to support your role in L&D, like live events like today's showcase, as well as through articles on our website, our magazine, conferences, research reports, our podcast, membership, you name it, we have it. And we would love to hear about what you've learned from today's session on social media, so please follow us on your favorite platform so we can continue the conversation. Without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce you to our final speakers today. We have Kelly Saraki, Product Marketing Manager at Biz Library, and then we have Blake Ryan, the Senior Product Manager as well at Biz Library. So with that, take it away, guys.
You, Liz. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited to be here to talk about our latest AI feature within the Biz Library solution, BizReady AI-powered Roleplay. As Liz mentioned, my name is Kelly Saraki. I'm the Product Marketing Manager at Biz Library, and I'll be presenting today along with Senior Product Manager Blake Ryan. Together, we'll explore how we are continuing to transform workplace learning using AI and deepen the impact of the solutions you use every day. So before we dive in, I want to talk a little bit about what drives our work at Biz Library. At our core, we help you build stronger, more capable teams and ensure learning leads to real business outcomes. We don't see ourselves as just a content or platform provider. And while high quality training matters, our real focus is impact, helping learning translate into better performance. That mindset shapes everything we build. So when we introduce a new feature, it's never just an add-on. It's intentionally designed around real workplace challenges and the moments where performance truly matters. And what we're here to talk about today is a great example of that. A feature built to drive performance, build confidence, and help learners truly apply what they've learned. So with that in mind, let's talk about the challenge we set out to solve. So imagine you're boarding a plane and you take your seat and the pilot greets you and says, "Well, this is my first time flying, but I've read all the manuals, so we should be fine." Or picture you're preparing for surgery. You're rolled into the operating room and the surgeon leans over and says, "Don't worry, I've watched a few videos on this." In both cases, that would be terrifying. And instinctively, we know why. Mastery doesn't come from reading or watching, it comes from doing. Practice is what builds confidence, competence, and the ability to perform when the pressure is on. Without it, even good intentions fall apart in crucial moments. Practice bridges that gap between knowing and doing. It gives people a safe space to try, make mistakes, and then refine their approach before that moment truly matters. So if practice is essential for pilots and surgeons, why wouldn't it also be essential for leaders, sales reps, or customer-facing professionals, roles that directly impact business outcomes? So the question then becomes, how do we bring meaningful practice into the workplace at scale? How do we give employees a safe way to rehearse high-stakes conversations before they happen? And that's the exact reason why we are so excited to talk about BizReady, our new AI-powered role play. And as a feature of our content, BizReady brings realistic practice directly into the learning experience. So how does it work? Learners engage in authentic workplace scenarios and engage with AI-driven personas. Those scenarios shift in real time based on the learner responses, creating a true two-way conversation. And then afterwards, learners received detailed, actionable feedback on what they did well and where they can improve. BizReady makes practice scalable, consistent, and available anytime without placing extra burden on managers. It provides objective insights, sets consistent standards, and creates a safe place for building capability fast. So just a little bit about the value BizReady brings when addressing some of today's biggest learning and performance challenges. First up is retention. We know learners forget most new information quickly, and passive learning, like reading or watching videos, retains only about 20%. But when learners actively practice, retention jumps to 75%. And that level of engagement can drive up to 6 times greater learning gains. BizReady turns learning from something people consume to something that they actually do. Next, scalability and consistency. Coaching works, and we all know that, but it doesn't scale easily. Managers are busy, workforces are distributed, and experiences can vary. BizReady delivers consistent AI-powered coaching to every learner anytime they need it. And the result, organizations can see up to 60% faster time to competency without adding extra workload to managers. And lastly, comprehension and application. Just awareness alone doesn't change behavior. And vague feedback like the generic good job don't really help people improve. But BizReady provides that clear, personalized, actionable feedback after every role play. So learners know where to improve and how to apply it on the job, leading to better performance and reduced compliance risk. So bottom line, BizReady turns knowledge into real, usable skills. It accelerates productivity, builds confidence, and drives measurable business impact. So now that we've covered what BizReady is and we've talked about the value, let's get into what you really came here to see, BizReady in action. So I'm going to turn it over to Blake, who is going to walk you through what BizReady looks like.
All right. Thank you, Kelly. Let me share screen here. And then let me know when you can see that. LS, Kelly, any thumbs up?
Yep, we can see it, Blake.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Well, thank you again. Before I get into this demo, I want to ask a quick question. So you can put your response into the chat here, but how many of us have attended training where we understood the content, but we still felt unprepared to execute what we learned? So I'll give it 10, 15 seconds here. I'll see if these answers are aligning with what I'm thinking here. All right. Yeah. Well, I would be naive to say that I am not one of those people. So, whether it's delivering difficult feedback, handling a compliance issue, navigating conflict, or leading through change, knowing what to say and actually saying it are two very different things. And that's why we're excited to introduce BizReady. So let's get right into this. As a learner, when you log into our platform, you're going to land on the learner homepage. Now, there's kind of two main themes of learners that we have within our platform, and that's learners that log into the system because they've been assigned something and they need to log in and hurry up and take what has been assigned to them, or learners that log in and they want to kind of free form learn. They want to be able to search and launch and learn things on their own time too. So I just wanted to quickly highlight the learner homepage because it encompasses both of those things. At the very top, we have a My Assignments widget, and this is going to show everything that has been assigned to that learner right in the front. And then we have other widgets like the BizAI's recommendations for your job widget. This is going to provide content that tailors around the job you have within the platform. We have another one with BizAI's recommended content, and this is going to be content that's based off of what you have previously watched and things that you might be interested in watching based on those. There's other widgets here as well to promote self-directed learning, but you can see this kind of encompasses the best of both worlds here. Now, as a learner, and I'm going to come back to this page too, so that's why I want to highlight that. But as a learner, if I want to find the content that is associated with the BizReady roleplay scenarios, all I have to do is go to the top dropdown and click on Browse Library. This is going to take me to a page where it shows all of the content that I have access to within the BizLMS. Now you can see here, this is a lot of results. But on the left-hand side here, we have a filter called Features. And then if I scroll down a little bit, we have role play enabled. So I'm going to select that. And you can see here's all the content that has the BizReady role play scenarios associated with it. So currently there is 182 results. So for this example, say that I am a sales manager or a customer success manager, and I want to be able to find content that might be relevant to my team within my organization on how to have better conversations about customer service. And so you can see here that we have several content items on customer service. Again, like Kelly said, all of these will range through a variety of topics. You can even see on the left-hand side, we have content under business skills, leadership and management, sales and service, HR compliance, and information technology. But again, for this example, let's use one for customer service. And so I can look at some of these titles. Again, as a admin, I can log in here and take some of these content items to learn more about them to see which ones will my team will be most relevant for my team. So say I choose analyzing your customer service, understanding barriers. So again, as a learner, I can log in here and I can play this video. I'm going to just hit pause here really quick while I talk through this. But when I get to the end of this video, I'm going to get a pop-up that says launch into the role play scenario. And we did this because we want the learners to be able to watch all of the content. And then at the end of that, then they can start to prepare and play with the content in order to practice what they have learned. And so just for this scenario, I can fast forward this all the way to the end, or on the right-hand side, we have outline. And this is going to show the interactions that are associated with the content. And right here, we have BizReady Roleplay. So I'm just going to click this, knowing that this is going to provide me with that link to the roleplay. All I got to do here is click this button right here, and this will launch into the roleplay where I can begin. Now, before I start, I want to highlight a couple things on this roleplay scenario. The first one at the top, this is going to be the summary of what this conversation is going to be like. And so this says spotting service barriers as a supervisor. In a short conversation, you speak with a customer service employee who is frustrated after a difficult customer interaction. As a supervisor, you help make sense of what went wrong and why situations like this matter for improving customer experience. So we know that I'm talking to a subordinate on how to have better conversations in the customer service field. The persona says, I really wanted to help that customer, but I kept running into walls. It was frustrating and it made us look unhelpful. So this is where I can start to begin this conversation. And so the first thing that I'm going to ask is, what roadblocks were you experiencing? And you can see here, the responses are pretty quick. It says, honestly, every step I tried just seemed to hit a dead end. Like there was no way to move forward for them. I kept checking options and asking for exceptions and still had nothing real to offer by them. So a pretty honest response there. A couple things after this that I want to highlight. On the left-hand side, we have a feedback section. This feedback section is going to be tailored around your latest response. So it says, good open question. It's neutral and focused on understanding the situation. To deepen the conversation, you could also acknowledge my frustration first. Example, it sounds like that was really tough. What roadblocks were you experiencing? So I feel more validated before dissecting the details. Awesome. Gives me some good feedback in order to help that conversation improve. Also on the left-hand side here, there's 4 different checkpoints here, and you can see that they have these boxes that are unchecked. These are also ways, and you can hover over these as well for some more insight, but these are also ways to improve the conversation as you go along. So let's kind of improve that response that I had based on some of this feedback. And I'm going to put, I understand your frustration, as you have every right to be. How do you think that we can improve this situation moving forward? And so you can see that the persona says, I appreciate you saying that. Thanks. To be honest, in that moment, I just felt stuck because there wasn't any clear next step I was allowed to take or any alternative path I could use for the customer. So you can even see that the persona's image here is lighting up as well. I can go back to the feedback section. You did well by acknowledging my frustration and explicitly saying I have a right to feel that way. That lowers my defensiveness. Asking how we can improve invites me into problem solving as a partner. To go further, you could also ask for specific examples of the tools, rules, or steps that failed me so the discussion becomes more actionable and concrete. The other thing I want to highlight here is that I acknowledge the employee frustration. So I checked that box. So maybe I didn't get to checking that box in my first couple of responses. These will remain unchecked until I get there. So again, you can see these things as kind of checkpoints which will help you steer that conversation to get the most out of it. I think it's really, really neat. So because you may be thinking about this, I'm going to show you how it handles a poor response. And so it seems like we're having a pretty decent conversation so far. I'm just going to go ahead and add, you need to figure it out as the response. Not a super helpful thing to say, but we can see how this you can see how this is going to start changing here. So the persona itself changes there, and it says that's exactly what I was trying to do, but everything I tried just hit the same limits. It felt like no matter how much I pushed, there wasn't a path open to actually fix it for them. Again, not a very super helpful comment. I can go to the feedback section here. Saying you need to figure it out puts all the burden on me and can feel invalidating after I shared feeling stuck. Try pairing accountability with support. For example, I do want you to think through possible solutions, but let's work together. What options do you see? Where can I help remove roadblocks? This keeps standards high while showing you're a partner, not just a critic as well. So this tool just does a really, really good job of analyzing a non-helpful or a poor comment, and then also ones that are a little bit more helpful. And again, on the left-hand side, these checkpoints here are really going to steer that conversation to make it as beneficial as possible for you. Okay, so we went through this. I think that you kind of get the gist of how you can have this conversation and practice those role plays that you just learned. The other neat thing about this is these checkpoints here are going to be based on the content that you just watched too. So they're not just out of the box checkpoints. They are going to be based on the material that you just watched within the BizLMS. So after I have this conversation and I feel like it's in a pretty good spot, I can click this button here for Get Feedback. Now, this can take a couple seconds here, but this is going to provide a lot of feedback based on what we just interacted with, and then things on how to get better as well. Okay, I think it's still loading. Come on. Okay, sorry about that. 1 second here. We're going to just put our responses back in.
Blake, I know you called it out before, but I just wanted to point out to anybody looking that last response where you're like, figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
If you can see that the AI persona, like, again, you can see the facial expression truly change back to like, oh my goodness. So those are great examples of how the persona is truly interacting with what you responding, kind of giving you those cues if you're on the right track or if you are totally astray from the goals.
Yeah, Kelly, that's a really good point too. And we've also got the question asked previously of, are you able to change those personas as you go through? And that's something that we're working with our partner on as well. So that is definitely a roadmap item that we're focused on being able to kind of change those to make it a little bit more personalized for your situation. So I have gotten the feedback here from the role play scenario. You can see here at the top that there's a couple of charts analyzing how you did. There is a kind of a conversation history, so it's based on as it went on, how it progressed. You can see it was going up, and then based on that poor response, it started to go down. It gave us a summary of how we did, and it is very accurate. You showed care for the employee's frustration at one point, but you moved too quickly to put the responsibility back on them and missed chances to clearly name the barrier. Explore customer impact and frame it as input for improvement. So it gives us a summary. It's going to give us an analysis on how we did. So it's going to give us the strengths. You acknowledge the frustration once, and then areas for improvement as well. Excuse me. Inconsistent empathy and support, and barrier and customer impact were not explored. So areas to focus on. But the thing that I love best about this tool here is that it gives you ways to improve. So it's going to give you 3 ways One is acknowledge emotion before shifting to problem solving. And then it's going to go into some detail. Name the barrier explicitly. So figuring out what that barrier was in that conversation. And then frame it as useful input, not their problem to solve alone. So really good ways to improve on that specific customer service scenario here. The nice thing about this is that once I go through this, I can go ahead and just repeat the role play if needed too. So, Kelly, I don't know if you mentioned this before, but we focus on these role plays as making sure that this is a safe place to interact with these too. So your administrator is not going to be able to read through the conversations. So maybe you have a poor conversation in your first role play. You can go back and work with this to make sure that it gets better and better as you go on. The other nice thing is you can export this to a PDF. And so say that your administrator wants to review the feedback, how you did with this conversation. You can export this to a PDF. You could print it out. You could send it to them. And you could even upload that back into the LMS if you would like as well too. So these are all just tools in order for you to see how you did and how you can progress and get better with these too. So Kelly, I think this is probably a good stopping point. I've been talking for a little bit. Have we had any questions that have come in through the chat or anything that we can cover that I may not have covered in that demo?
I think that you definitely covered, some great examples of how to use this. And I think that it's the safe environment is really, really important. You did mention kind of future enhancements that we're talking about, the ability to change the AI persona. Are there any other future enhancements with BizReady that we're talking about or we have coming soon?
Yeah, so one of those that we're exploring right now is to make these a mandatory assignment. And so you would be able to put these within a video course or a learning initiative that will make these mandatory so that you can report on those. And we do have some reporting tools that are in the pipeline as well. So to be able to kind of see how those learners did, and then maybe how much time they spent as well within those role plays.
That's great. I think we also have, I don't know if you just said it, voice to text is coming
Yes, thank you.
soon. So
Yep.
that'll be really exciting.
Yep.
And then is there a fee or additional charge? And is this part of you have to have Biz LMS in order to take advantage of BizReady?
This is just part of the content as a whole. This is now part of our content offering. So if you have the Biz LMS, you'll be able to utilize these, and also for third-party clients as well, you will now be able to utilize these.
Which I think is great. I think it's so exciting that it's just part of the content and no extra work to upload or get them to work. It is just
Yep.
automatically there.
Yep.
We don't have any. Keep some great questions coming in the chat. If there's any questions on BizReady, please open them up to us. We are definitely here.
Yeah, for sure. There's one other thing that I want to demo here really quick, and then we can get to a little more Q&A. But I want to just go back to our browse library page, and I want to talk about the assignments piece, because I know that many of you on this call could be an administrator or somebody that's managing your organization's LMS, or potentially will be. And one of the main things that you're going to need to know or need to do is assign content to your learners. It's the number one thing that an administrator needs to do. And so I want to talk about how easy it is to assign this content that has the BizReady roleplay scenarios to your learners and teams. And the first way, and I'm just going to show you this way because this is how we found the content, but I'm going to go back to the browse library page, click features, roleplay enabled, and say that I want to assign this customer service course to my sales team. I can click on this course here. If I would like, I can copy and paste the title, or I can just hover over this little information button here and click on this button just to copy the course code. As an administrator, all I have to do is go up to the top, and if you have administrator privileges, you'll see an administration button right here. I'll click administration and say I want to assign that to my sales team. I can just click on people on the left. I have teams and learners. This is where I can find the teams. This is where I can find the individual learners. I'll click on teams, and then I'll search for my sales team here. This is the Woodrow sales team. And then we have an assignments button right here. This is going to go to the assignments tab, and all I have to do is click on assign content and paste that course code here. I can also search through this drop down as well, and I can give it a due date, and I can just say this is due at the end of March, and I can create that assignment. So it is super easy to assign this content to your teams and learners within the platform. I just wanted to show you that. And then as a learner, all I have to do is when I log in, and I'm going to just take a little shortcut and impersonate this learner right here and impersonate. As a learner, I can log in and I can see this course right here, right at the top of my screen to log in. So we know that a lot of our learners use a mobile device or don't have a dedicated workspace. They have a shared workspace. They might be very limited on time or taking this during their lunch break. So the goal of our homepage is to give learners the least amount of clicks to take the content that's been assigned to them. So the learner logs in, they see this here right at the top. They're clicking on this content and they're already consuming it. So it takes 2 clicks for them to get in and take that content. So again, done by design, and we want to make sure that it's as easy as possible for the administrators and learners to consume content. All right, I think we have about 5 or 6 minutes left. Kelly, anything else that's come in?
Yeah, another question. Someone is asking about the ability to build custom role plays, or are they all pre-built?
That is a great question. Right now, they are pre-built, but it is something on our roadmap that we're exploring again to have these to be able to be customized for our clients.
That's great. And I think just with anything else that we do, we're always, taking client requests for if there's a certain piece of content that you really think a role play would be beneficial, definitely submit that because we are always looking at client feedback.
All right. Anything else here? We got a couple minutes that we can explore. If there's any questions, or I'm happy to re-demo anything as well.
I think that is, let's see. Someone is asking again, but I think just bears repeating. Do we need Biz LMS in order to take advantage of Biz Ready?
Yes, ideally, yes, you to use the Biz LMS, but you can also be a content only client as well. And so if you just have our content, but you use a different LMS, you'll be able to utilize them too.
And I think that is a great thing to keep in mind. Definitely a feature of our content. So if you, are interested, please check us out.
Yeah, looks like there's a couple more that came in. Do you offer a basic free account? We don't offer a free account, but if that's something that you'd like to get trial access, you can reach out as well if this is something that you're looking to explore. Let's see. Can you walk through those measurement pillars you chose? Were they scenario specific? Yeah, I can pull those up really quick.
And I think it is great, like while you're pulling that up, the measurement it's based on different role plays. So it looks at the content. So there was a different role play that I had done about managing a peer, and it definitely was different measurement pillars that it was looking at that were important for that role play, as opposed to the customer service one that Blake was just doing. So it will differ from role play to role play.
Yeah, yep, that is very well said. I'll just give it one response here, 1 or 2 responses here. Yeah, so like Kelly said, these will change based on the scenario that you're in.
And I do believe that is all for questions right now.
Okay, Liz, back to you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys. Great way to end the day. I appreciate you both. So yeah, we're giving you a couple more minutes back. Thank you for addressing that poll. I'm going to keep it up. So if you haven't gotten to it, you quickly were taking a break, coming back. I'm going to keep that up for y'all. But again, thank you so much to our dynamic speakers and sponsors today. We had Biz Library, Box of Crayons, Is Easy, Sweet Rush, and Sear Tech Solutions. Again, all of today's sessions are pre-qualified for a credit hour by SHRM, HRCI, ISPI, and CPTM. So please send an email to me or somebody on the TI team, and we will get you those codes as soon as possible. And as for CPTM, of course, it's a different kind of recertified program. So also, if you have any questions there, please let me or the courses team know. Additionally, I would love to meet you all here in Raleigh, North Carolina for the 2026 Training Industry Conference and Expo. So additionally, we do have an early bird sale going on right now up until the end of March. So check that out, but I can't wait to see you all then. And additionally, if you're looking to elevate your L&D career, additionally, our Managing Learning Tech certificate is readily available to help you elevate your L&D career to the next level. So you can check that out then. Lastly, one last reminder that a survey will pop open upon exiting, and we would greatly welcome your feedback. And thank you all for joining us today. Until next time, I am Liz. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and I will see you all very soon. Bye, everybody.